Welcome home. We are WNST, Tassel, Baltimore. Baltimore Positive. We are positively at Lexington Market, the epicenter of awesomeness in downtown Baltimore, between Utah and Packer. We're here at Fadley's in Lexington Market. Nancy Devine is staring at me and the tastemakers on the wall. It's all brought to you by our friends at the Maryland Lottery. I have the Gold Rush 7s doublers. We're going to have the Ravens scratch off when we get together at Coco's on the 4th of September. Orioles doing the Dodgers thing away this week. Ravens getting ready for the Chiefs. And I just got back from Ocean City. If you've been out at Baltimore Positive, you've seen Ben Carden, Chris Van Hollen, Johnny, a whole bunch of people we had on. This is a guy that I met last year at Mako that I've been 53 weeks now saying I'm going to have you on the program. Matt Coster is the president of Local 734 of the Baltimore Firefighters. A firefighter yourself, no doubt about that. You're taller than I remember you at the beach lady. Were you wearing was I wearing heels or were you wearing sandals?
I was probably in the sand at Secrets, a little smaller than.
Well, how are you? And tell me about the firefighters, because I think I said this to you the night I met you. I grew up in a neighborhood where we had a lot of firefighters, and they were city firefighters in many cases. And you represent city only or no?
Yeah, only
just
the city.
Okay.
Only city.
City firefighters paid by the city, correct?
Yes, sir.
How long were you on the beat?
I've been a firefighter for 23 years now.
Still to this day, you're an active firefighter.
I work out of the field as the union president, but I still ride along with my crew, my shift at my station, just to keep my skills up.
Always a union member from the minute you became, right?
Yes.
Tell me about the Firefighters Union and what it represents and the things you fight for, because I don't think you get a lot of airtime. My dad was a union member at the Point. I was a union member in the Guild at the Baltimore Sun. I walked the picket line when I was 17 years old. We see unions maligned in this country in many ways, and we also see unions incredibly supported, especially in a political season where are you union or are you not? If you're not going to get some votes. In a lot of places in this, not just this city, but in this country, your union and the strength of your union and how many people you represent.
So I represent about 1,100 members, consists of firefighters, emergency vehicle drivers, pump operators, dispatchers, EMTs, medics, as retired as well. So inspectors, instructors at the academy. So I represent a lot of people.
Representing them in regard to give us some ideas of things that come to your desk from a firefighter. And God forbid, I don't want to sit here and be morbid and talk about every time we lose a firefighter. Because when that happens, that's when you make the news. The only time they come and see you and care about you is when 9/11 or when there's a tragedy. But you're there every day, doing more than just getting cats out of trees like we saw in the Richard Scarry cartoon books when I was a kid. My friends were firefighters. I know the risk that every day that risk is there for you.
Exactly. We're a huge team, and when it consists of every day, Baltimore burns at twice the national average. So my guys and gals are out there doing it every day. We don't hit the news every day because, like you said, only when it's tragic or when something's, in the news, when it's newsworthy, I guess you could say, then we're in the news. But besides that, we're just kind of.
But you say only when it's tragic. When there's a fire, nobody dies. You come put the fire out. It's a grease fire in the kitchen. Everybody's happy. There's some damage. There's some insurance. We effed up, or they didn't have a safety protocols or whatever. That doesn't make the news.
No.
But that happens every day. And when I had a fire in my basement in White Marsh years ago with a candle, and when the house was 2 minutes from burning down, I'm glad you're there. I'm glad same thing for anyone in public service in that way.
Yeah, it's definitely an insurance policy that you want to have. That you want us to be there when you need it. So that's why we're so important. We're paid by the taxpayer, so it's important to have us there. Baltimore is unique that we're a all union, all paid shop, as in like Baltimore County, like you just mentioned. They're half union, half volunteer. Harford County is all volunteer. They do have a paid EMS service now, but Baltimore City is a all paid service that is funded by the taxpayers.
At its zenith, how many people were in your union, and where are you now? Because look, I'm in the city. I'm here at Fadley's. I know, and I talked to Zeke Cohen's going to be coming on. He was invited today. And I know you spent the morning. That's why you dress real nice. You're down to the council. Trying to get more funding, knowing that I have seen closed fire stations here, right? I mean, we've changed a lot as a city, but a fire's still a fire, and you need to be – proximity is everything putting a fire out, right?
Exactly. Time is like our worst enemy. You know, when you close a firehouse, somebody has to pick up those runs. You know, it's – like I said, time is the enemy. So if we're out on a call, then another unit has to respond further away.
3 minutes and 6 minutes is a lot different in response time, right?
When you're waiting on a fire truck and you feel that it's like holding a match to your finger, it hurts.
Well, there's a reason we called it a fire drill when we were kids, right?
Yeah.
Because fire happens fast, like, you know, and suddenly, and that's where you come in. I mean, recruiting more members still, like the police, very much so. Is it hard to get people to sign up for the force? You call it a force? Am I saying the right word?
Yeah, department.
Department.
Yeah,
okay, fair enough.
It is. We've had trouble in the last go around. Usually, when I came into the fire department 23 years ago, there was 7,000 people that signed up for the test. Now we're having less than 700 people sign up for the test, and out of that 700, you make it 300. So, you know, statistics are saying it's down. You know, after COVID, we didn't hire during COVID, so we're technically in a staffing crisis right now. We do have recruits out at the academy right now that we're going to graduate in October, and then another class should come in after that. But we're still probably 100-some firefighters short at this time, and mainly, I would say, about 90 paramedics short.
You know, Don Moeller would always say, and he sat in front of Harrison, a whole bunch of police chiefs here, and as a former Baltimore County, he sat at the Old Faithleys and said this: I hope you're not signing up out of adventure to be a police officer. You're signing up out of service, right? You want to carry a gun and play cops and do all that. From a firefighter's perspective, and this goes back to me being a kid with Jody Gage and Emergency back in the 70s and, you know, the fire Rampart and all that stuff. I would think that if you're thinking of entering the academy, become a firefighter, what is that calling, and who are these 300 people we see that are worthy of being a part of your department?
Well, we're hoping we're getting the best of the best. You know, with lowering standards in this day and age, just to get somebody to fill a seat is dangerous. And that's what we as a union don't want to see happen. We don't want to see standards lowered to just fill a body in a seat.
What makes you guys less safe?
Exactly. We need somebody that is willing to do the job, that wants to help people, wants to make a difference, and is not there just for a paycheck.
So the recruitment part of this, and I would ask this, and please don't think I'm being flippant, because I'm a journalist who's had journalists. Literally today, I had Ron Snyder on, who's a professor over at Towson, and I'm like, is journalism a career? You know, if you had a kid and said he wants to be Nasty Nestor, wants to get banned by the Ravens and the Orioles and treated like garbage and thrown out on a whim, I'd say, not a great career. You know, firefighter. If my kid came to me and said, I want to be a firefighter, I'd say, well, union's always fighting, and it's just sort of a state job that's unappreciated in a way, where the firefighters have been kicked around, and like the police forever. There's a point of appreciation that you all seek, that everybody I've ever known as a firefighter to say, Adley Rutschman's not a hero because he plays baseball. You're a hero because you save lives. And there's this hero thing about sports and society where we've gotten away from our real heroes, doctors, medics, first responders, people who went down to the Key Bridge and dove in the water. You know, what you do is first line, and there is a part of pride that's built into I'm a firefighter.
Yeah, definitely. You know, we kind of going off the same aspect, you know, professional teams, as in the Orioles or the Ravens, they want to put the best team forward, just like we want to do. We want to put the best team out there to make a difference in saving somebody's life. So we don't want to lower those standards in order to get somebody just to fill a spot.
Well, you know what happens when you lower standards is people become a firefighter and they do something else with their life. That's what I'm saying. Is it still a 20, 30-year a career in that way? Because the last thing you want to do is train people who do leave in 5 years. Teaching's going through that. Nursing's going, you know, there's so many industries where it sucks being one of us, a journalist, a firefighter, because of the things you have to, a police officer, that there's a turnover, and that probably isn't good, right? I mean, seasoned firefighters, a whole different thing. Coming to put a fire out of my house, been in the department 15 years, than 15 minutes.
Yeah, definitely. Again, we like to have our best team forward, and if we have somebody that's just going to come in and then say, this isn't for me type deal, you don't want that person responding to your house, obviously. This is a calling. We appreciate the term hero. We don't like the term hero because obviously we were doing a job, and that's what we're paid to do. But it is a calling.
I like the calling. That's great. It's a calling. Yeah.
It's definitely we're kind of adrenaline.
I'm gonna tell people about journalists. I can't help it.
It's a calling.
I've never done anything else. This is all I've ever done. This is all I'm gonna do.
I couldn't do it, so it's like the kind of same realm as I couldn't, catch a fly ball and Camden yards. I mean, I probably could, but not as good as these guys that are making millions of dollars. Or I couldn't run up the middle, so up the Ravens defense either. So it's kind of that way, just as they wouldn't want to run into a burning building. We kind of have that respect.
Matt Coster's here. He is with the Baltimore Firefighters, the city side. He is a president of Local 734. How many locals are there?
In Baltimore for fire, there's
that's a big number, through 734.
Oh, that's the international number that we have.
Oh, okay, all right.
I don't know how many, but I know there's 350,000 union members in the United States. So
well, that's a lobby.
Yeah.
So why did you become a firefighter, and what's your background? You're a Baltimore guy, right?
Yeah, East Baltimore guy, born and raised.
What does that mean, East Baltimore? We got neighborhoods here. We're a town of neighborhoods.
I would say Highlandtown area.
Well, you said it right, so that's perfect. You didn't say Canton. So.
Yeah, my family grew up there the whole time, and then, ever since I was a little kid, I wanted to be a firefighter. When we would watch, firefighters go down the street, driving the trucks and everything, hitting the horns and sirens, that's what I wanted to do.
Well, that's a beautiful story, dude.
Yeah, so,
I wanted to be a baseball player.
Yeah. Yeah. So, yeah.
Well, so you joined the force. How different was it for you joining the force years ago than now? When you see young people come in now, the training, dare I say the science about putting a fire out, right? Like, I mean, I think we know a lot more about fires now and fire safety, and even having, I was out in the West Coast a couple years ago, and I saw a real forest fire out there. And when you see
those guys
a wildfire,
yeah.
as a firefighter saying,
I'd rather run into a burning building than into a forest fire any day of the week.
I mean, but you get this life experience about you that you see it, and I have incredible especially after 9/11. My wife is a 9/11 survivor. She got cancer there as just a worker, not as a firefighter. She was a first responder in putting Wall Street back together, literally there. So we talk so much about the firefighters. The Zagroba Fund was a firefighter fund. That's the 9/11 fund in New York that my wife is a member of after almost dying. But I think about you signing up and saying, I want to be a firefighter because I was a little boy. And then you find out, like, it's like maybe want to be a football player and then seeing the meetings they go in out there and saying, that wasn't what I thought being a football player was. Being a firefighter is different than probably what you thought it was. It's probably different now than it was 30 years ago.
Yeah, it's definitely, we're learning a lot about fire nowadays. Fire materials are a lot different than they were back in the 80s. Everything was made of wood and stuff like that. Now it's all plastic, polyurethane.
Burns different.
Burns a lot faster, a lot hotter. So our gear's having to change. We're learning a lot about cancer nowadays. Like you said, your wife got it, from 9/11. A lot of our firefighter, our gear actually has chemicals in it that give us cancer. So we're actually in fight with, D.C. down in, Annapolis and then D.C. with legislation to try to get our gear PFAS free, because that's actually what we're wearing that protects us from fire is actually killing us. It's causing cancer. So that's what we're learning after, 20-some years of firefighting.
I'm a baseball guy, and something's happened in the last number of years that the Philadelphia Veterans Stadium turf and the turf in Kansas City, a lot of those players got brain cancer.
Oh, wow.
Go back and Google it. Dan Quisenberry, Dick Hauser, you're old like me. You remember some of these guys. But a lot of the Phillies and the Kansas City, because of that turf, they believe there was something in the plastic in that turf when the sun hit it and you're out fielding ground balls or you got it in your eye or your skin, that there's something about that. So the plastics are dangerous, man.
Yeah, it's actually the water repellent chemical PFAS that's causing cancer.
Okay.
it's ingesting in our.
I'm thinking of stuff we're putting on
absorbing.
our lawn years
Yeah.
ago, right? I mean, so you find these things out. What could make you all safer? What are the things you're lobbying for? Just other than wages and respect and the things that you, but the safety part of this. At every turn, the worst thing in the world we can do is lose a firefighter.
We're
right?
finding out everything causes cancer. From the exhaust from the apparatus when we back into the firehouse, the diesel exhaust is causing cancer. So we have, we fought for health and safety wise to get, the Niederman system put on an exhaust so it pulls actually out the carcinogens and blows it outside because they're learning that the carcinogens stay into the firehouse for up to 24 to 48 hours after you back in. And that's only saying you back in once.
That's an incredible thing because the minute the truck goes in, they shut the door.
Exactly.
And it's not like when you're Jim Carrey going to the bathroom and you don't have a fan. You know what I mean? Like there's no fan in there to ventilate. I had never really thought about that.
And we live in that place for 24 hours, so we're breathing all that stuff in. Like I said, our turnout gear is causing cancer. Just the carcinogens when we go into a fire, all the smoke that we ingest and absorb through our body. That's obviously a cancer. So that's the biggest fight right now is the cancer, presumptive stuff with the workman's comp and then trying to get everything fixed through legislation.
What's the worst fire you ever put out? Tell me about it.
The worst fire, I should say.
I've always seen the plaque here, the Great Baltimore Fire. It's right down at the harbor. I lived at the harbor all these years. I saw it, and I can't get my arms around that, but I can get my arms around seeing the fireball in the sky after the riots over at the church over in East Baltimore. I saw the fire. I mean, when you see a fireball, and I speak of my time in Montana, I saw that incredible forest fire in Montana, and you feel the heat of it. I remember being near a fire when I was a young man. I covered a fire in the 80s at a furniture store on Holabird Avenue. I'm trying to think of the name of the place, but it's still a furniture store. Caught on fire. The houses in the whole neighborhood were all melted. All the siding was melted. And I've seen these little things. Dude, you're sitting in the place there having a sandwich every day waiting for that and waiting to put it out. I mean, it's
exactly.
That's off to you. But, I mean, I'm sure you've seen worse than anything I've seen.
Yeah, I mean, I'll say the biggest fire I've been on went 6 alarms. I think it was back in 2006 or 7. On 20th and Barkley. I was on truck 15 that day, and I was tillering, so I was a guy in the back.
Okay.
Tillering. We turned on to North Avenue, and all you could see in the sky was a column of smoke. I mean, this column was huge. Everybody was
all
looking.
All I can think about you is like a war movie. You guys are going in, and you're going into some shit. You know what I mean? like literally, you see it, and you're like, let's go. You're going at it, and I'm just thinking of from a Hero 9/11 perspective, we're all familiar with that. But I'm just thinking, okay, North Avenue, bells are ringing, everybody's getting the hell out of the way, woo, woo, we're going down, and the smoke's going out, and we're going in it.
Yeah, everybody's looking at the column because it's huge, and we're going that way. And then we wound up being on the second alarm, I think, and it wound up going 6 alarms, and we had, I think the whole block was off at that point. So fire.
Get it out. You got it out. I shouldn't ask if you got it out.
Yeah.
You got it out.
Every fire in this city goes out. That's what I always tell the politicians when they're talking about budgets. I'm like, if you can tell me if a fire's still burning right now.
Well, they got a plaque down there that said it didn't go out about 120 years ago, right?
That's 120 years ago. I can't say who was there for that, but I can understand. That's why we have all these, building codes and everything else that came out now that actually protect the whole city from burning down.
You said we burn twice as more than other cities. Why is that? Just old?
Old
abandoned.
City, East Coast, old city, but we have an arson issue in the city. We also have an abandoned building issue in the city.
And that's trouble waiting to happen. Right?
Exactly.
That's a fire waiting to happen, literally.
It is, because, when you have an abandoned building, it's just going to mean somebody's going to go in there, drug activity, homeless activity. It's not vacant until we say it's vacant.
Right.
So that's an issue with Baltimore
Well, it's
City.
only vacant until until we turn our backs.
Yeah.
To some cases,
so,
right?
Politicians say we have vacant buildings. We shouldn't be going in there and fighting fire. But how'd the fire start? Buildings don't spontaneously combust. So somebody had to be in there to start the fire. So.
Well, how about that explosion up in Abington? It's incredible, right?
That's kind of how the 20th and Barkley started. Same deal, gas leak, and exploded the second floor.
Gas is dangerous, right?
It is dangerous. You need to have, if you smell gas, obviously you can call 311 or 911 if you smell gas. But it is dangerous if especially nowadays with the new construction, new windows, everything's kind of sealed up. So it's kind of just, gas getting leaked out everywhere, and then a match or an ignition source hits it and it's going to explode. That's the dangerous part about it. But I like gas because it's cheaper than electric. But it is dangerous. The CO poisoning, everything. So I would definitely recommend if you have gas appliances to get a CO detector and stuff like that.
All right, I'm going to get Damie at it. We're going to talk about crab cakes and oysters next month. Matt Coster's here from the Baltimore Firefighters. I've been waiting to have you on for a year. I'm delighted to have you on, be a part of this, and pay respect to all of our firefighters out there. But this is where, I ask the stupid question at the end. People parking in front of fire hydrants. Tell them that's wrong. Tell them that's wrong.
That is wrong, and it's dangerous. You're going to put people's lives in danger. It makes us have to reroute and get a different hydrant or possibly.
How often does that happen?
It happens a lot.
That's the reason I bring it up. I bring it up to be funny and whatever, but I'm thinking to myself, if you get to a fire, you get to North Avenue, and the little orange guy's there. We used to paint them like Johnny Unitas and Brooks Robinson. We just need some Ray Lewis ones. We need some Adley Rutschman ones, right? But you get there, you can't get there. You doesn't work. I think about that with fire hydrants. Do they all work?
Yeah.
They're all tested, right?
Yeah, we actually, as a fire, we go out and inspect hydrants once a week.
Oh.
So it's our job. It's our livelihood.
See, I thought it was like emergency. You guys just sit around, eat pizza, and watch ball games till something happens.
No,
the bell rings.
Do
you still have the pole? Do you fly down the pole?
Oh, yeah.
What?
Yeah. Mostly because it's an old city, it's 2-story firehouse.
I've always wanted to do that.
Yeah.
You have to be a real firefighter to do it. Can you do it on your own?
Well,
because it reminds me of Batman. Remember the bat poles?
Yeah.
Right, you hit the bat pole, you go down.
Oh yeah.
You really have those still?
Yeah, we can figure it out. I'll get you
out of the bunks.
Yeah, it's right in the bunk room, or there's usually a bunch of them, each kind of.
I haven't been in a firehouse in a long time. The firefighters, and you'll tell me which one this is, because I lived at the Inner Harbor forever. We would walk down to Cross Street, and the firefighters on Light at wherever that is. Light Street.
Engine 2.
Just south of the harbor.
Yeah.
2 blocks from the harbor.
Yeah.
Those guys there all knew me, and they were always nice to me and my wife. We walked by. They're sitting outside. But I never thought to, go in and get a tour. The only firehouse I've ever been in my life is the Berkshire Firehouse when I was in kindergarten. I was a little boy. We were learning fire safety, and they took us over to the firehouse.
Stop, drop,
I'm talking like I was a little boy.
Yeah.
And they had the pole. We were too little to go down it. So I haven't been in a firehouse as a civilian since 1974.
Oh, wow, yeah.
Why would I?
Exactly. Some of them are.
I'm not the only one. Has anybody else been in a firehouse and going down the pole?
Yeah,
I didn't know they had poles. Now I want to go.
Yeah, the funny thing, some of them are still from 1974. They're being updated slowly but gradually. But, yeah, Engine 2, the one you're talking about, it's actually getting remodeled right now.
So I should wait for the new pole? Or?
Well, yeah, you should wait for the new one because it'll look really nice. So.
Well, I mean, and for you getting these remodeled, it's no different than I was at my old elementary school over Colgate, redoing fire departments, redoing it all costs money. Right?
Oh yeah, the budget.
And the citizens are paying for this.
Yeah, luckily, like you said, we had a mayor that isn't going to balance the budget on the firefighters' back. That's what he said. So he's been, helpful in giving us money. I know we got a bunch of money from ARPA funds to help with the rehabs of firehouses because some of these remodels are years, decades from. They should have been done decades ago.
Right.
So
you take me to your worst firehouse right now, that would be we know it needs to be changed.
Oh, yeah.
Like schoolhouses. I mean, we were housing kids in schools in trailers.
Because of the new standards, too,
right.
The NFPA standard, you have to keep your gear separate from living quarters and everything else, and we don't have the room. You have 2-story firehouses.
Oh, sure.
There's not enough room.
Well, that's why I want to bring you on to talk about the challenges.
Yeah.
Not complaining. I mean, you're a firefighter, but how can we better take care of you? Same things you're talking to city council about today.
Oh, yeah. I mean, every day is something new for me. That's all I always say, a new day, new issue. But
why'd you take this on, union president?
I felt that I wanted to move the fire department and our members were getting, I guess, the way that our members were getting treated by the command staff, I wanted to make it better. So that I wanted to push the way that I felt it needed to be done. That's
How you
why I
doing?
took it.
How many years you been doing it?
I feel like I moved 2 steps forward and 6 steps back every day.
Well, as long as you're getting those 2 forward in, you'll get there.
Yeah.
Eventually.
We're getting there. I'm getting stressed and angry and stuff like that. I'm making really good friends with people and stuff. So, but it's definitely a hard job. And everybody said I don't wish that on anybody, but I took it on. I wanted to be the union president. I wanted to represent the members of my union and put my best foot forward and try to make things better.
How can the public help you?
Don't
park in front of fire hydrants, knuckleheads.
Well, that, obviously we're Baltimore City's busy, so just kind of give my members the benefit of the doubt, where they're being run constantly in and out. Our medics are being treated badly when they go on runs because it's taking them forever to get there because they're just running nonstop,
Right.
Public education on when to call 911 would be great.
Well, every time Brandon comes on, he talks about that. Don't call don't call the police when you don't need the police.
Exactly.
Don't make that call. It's an emergency call. We have other resources to help people.
Yeah.
If there's not a fire, don't call the fire department. How about that?
If you're having an emergency medical situation or a fire, that's when you call us. But it's tough for us to get to all these calls that come out for every little thing from stubbed toes to belly aches to shootings. We go on everything. When somebody calls, we're going.
Key Bridge,
Exactly.
Fire department's there.
One of the first people on scene. So.
Well, keep up the great work, man.
Yeah, thank you.
I know you got to get back into what you're doing, but thanks for coming down to Fadley's and being a part of what we're doing here. And sorry it took me a year.
No worries.
I tell the guys down at number 2, I'm sorry I don't live in the neighborhood anymore to walk by, but those guys were always great.
We'll get you at a firehouse somewhere. You can slide down the pole.
All right, my old buddy Pete Helliott will appreciate that because I grew up with Baltimore City Firefighters. Matt Coster's here. He's the president of Local 734, and it's sort of like emergency was back in the 70s, but a little bit more hardcore to be a real firefighter. Yeah. Damie's coming in with a crab. Just get a crab cake for you. Hold on, let me see this here. Get in here, Damie. Put your headset on. We're gonna do a whole segment here. Damie Hahn is here. She is with Fadley's, and I just asked Matt. I said, what was the worst fire you've ever seen? And within 30 seconds, he's telling me this story about turning the corner at North Avenue and the place is on. And I'm thinking, these are the real heroes, not the baseball players, right?
That's right. That's right.
You got to hope you never see him again. That's what you really hope when you get these firefighters here, right?
Even Lexington Market, we lost a building. In 1940, it was the fire at 48.
Okay.
The big fire that took out 10 blocks,
yeah.
And it disrupted Lexington Market, and it was a whole year before anybody could do business. My grandmother had a cart out on the parking lot.
Oh, wow.
For a year. My grandfather went to work for General Motors for that year, and they had to stop the seafood business, and
I did not know Fadley's was disrupted after the war.
It was after the fire.
After the fire. I think you said 48?
Yeah. It was
1948. What was the fire? The Great Baltimore Fire was like in 01 or 1901?
There was one in
04. Okay, I knew it was a long time ago.
That was one, and then there was another one that took 10 blocks. It was where they sold wood, up here, up Paca Street, and
the Paca, the lumber yard.
The lumber yard fire, and it took everything all the way down, and Lexington Market was wood. It was the wood.
Lumber yard fire would be awful, right?
Yes, it was shaped like this market, and
a fireplace.
There were 7 buildings, and they all burned to the ground. And my grandmother then went, and she's the one that kept it going off of a cart. She sold fish off of a cart.
Did she have deviled eggs on her cart?
No, she did not.
Do you eat deviled eggs?
Oh, I love them.
Take those damn things. I smell them. I don't even want them. She knows how I feel. But now, the crab cake I would take, but I've already had one. So, Damie, we're doing this tour, this oyster. Do you eat oysters?
Yes.
How do you eat them?
Raw.
That's it?
I eat them really anyway. But
so this was the problem I had with Damie about a year and a half. I've been doing the show here all the time. Damie and I got to talking about something, and I said, I want to try something new. So she brought me some fish of this and fish of that. They got raccoon in season and muskrat in season.
Oh, wow.
She brought me raccoon.
I don't know about that.
I'm out on. So she's trying to make me more hillbilly. I'm a city guy, Dundalk guy. Deviled eggs, not so much for me. It's not my thing.
But he loves the fried oysters.
But oysters, she brought me fried oysters about a year and a half ago, and I'm thinking to myself, have I ever had a fried oyster? Because, like, they're always on the menu. You don't have to hold that the whole time, even though you look good holding it. Firefighters hold it. But this is going to be your dinner here.
Oh, thank you.
But we'll get, because he's all dressed up. He came from city council. He represents people, Matt does. So she brings me the oyster, and I eat it, and I'm thinking, what other things have I eaten? Like I like oysters, but I've never taken the time to fry them. I've never, she rolls them, and they explode in your mouth when they're hot. They're like fried chicken, but better. And I'm thinking, all right, I had Rockefellers before, and then I went down to New Orleans for the Super Bowl 12 years ago, and I had the charred grilled.
Yeah,
you've had those.
And the Acme Oyster House.
Oh, butter, garlic, the whole deal, cheese. So in the last year and a half, I've been doing crab cakes. I've had crab cakes everywhere, much to her chagrin, because she has the best one. Just ask her. And so I go all over town, all over the state. And
he keeps coming back.
Yeah. Every time I talk to her, she's my educational resource. And she's like, you don't have any crabs without the oysters. I'm doing a good day. That's pretty good day, me. So I have a sponsor. You're going to love this. Sponsor for my oyster tour is Liberty Pure Solutions, my friend Doug. They keep my water clean in my house. They do my well water.
They're your oyster.
They're my oyster. That's exactly what they are.
They're your
oyster. Now, have you ever seen the thing they do where they bring a glass aquarium with muddy river water?
Oh, yeah.
And they put oysters in the bottom, and they have a cocktail party, and in a couple of hours, the water's clean.
Uh-huh.
Makes me not want to eat the oysters, but but the oysters,
That's
they
where
are.
they get their flavor from.
Well, the oysters are. You had to say that to me, didn't you? After I'm about to eat an oyster every day for the next month.
Yeah,
but you are the reason that I am eating an oyster a day every day for the next month. 26 oysters, 26 days.
Good.
Give me some ways you've eaten an oyster that I need, because I'm going to go on some menus here. I'm going to find this menu in Ocean City.
Oyster shooter.
Oyster shooters, definitely.
Yeah.
Oyster stew.
Oyster stew.
And then there's a lot of ways to grill them, right?
Oh, yeah.
I mean, with
you can put anything
bacon,
on them.
Spinach, cheese.
I gave you some the last time you were here. We did all the grilled oysters.
I had a place doing an oyster in Ocean City.
Because we're doing grilled oysters here. You can get them all topped, yeah. So
nice.
you can go to the raw bar and you can get the grilled oysters.
I'm going to be here on the 23rd of the month because you're closed on the 6th. Don't come down here Labor Day week. Don't make my mistake and plan
We give
the show
the whole
here.
staff off for a week.
An hour ago, I thought I was going to be here September 6th. I'm not going to be here September 6th. It's Cal Ripken Day, September 6th, by the way. So there's a place down in Ocean City that's doing this oyster, and I looked at it, and I'm thinking it had lime, cilantro, some sort of I gotta look it up. But they're finding creative ways above and beyond like a little bit of cheese and a little bit of spinach. And that's why I'm saying to you, I want to get creative in what I can do with an oyster, because I think I never order oysters in a restaurant. I never get around to it. There's always shrimp. There's always fish. If I came in here and you said pick anything you want for the next 10 days, I probably would be on day 11, and I would say, well, I'll have the crab soup, a lobster bisque, I'll do that. You had rockfish on special here, up here.
Yeah. Oh, my God,
I would do that in a minute, right? I would do all
They're
of them
gorgeous.
before I get like a fried oyster or a clam.
But you like the fried oysters.
But it's always in a restaurant. There's something else in line in front of it. And for the next month, what I'm going to do, and I'm going to a lot of different places, I'm not having a dozen oysters every day for a month. I'm just not. But I'm going to try to eat other foods, but also incorporate. There's places in Hamden doing oysters. There's 3 places there with oysters on their menu. I'm like, I didn't even know you'd do that with an oyster. But they're getting creative with them. Like you're trying to get creative with a catfish here, right?
Absolutely, absolutely. That's another one we got to get more of it out of the bay. So we're pushing the catfish.
You know,
more catfish.
You're doing a great job, because everywhere I went last week at Mako, I didn't see you at Mako, but everywhere I went, people know I'm the crab cake guy. And I had a couple of politicians say to me, the catfish are eating it. And I'm like, yeah, I know that, because I do a show. I'm a Baltimore Positive. I do things, But you have educated me. You're sending me out on this oyster. She's the one that got me going with the crab cake tour as well. Because her crab cake's the only. Have you ever had a Fadley's crab cake?
No, I cannot.
Oh, okay.
Here you go. Right, you eat, and we're here. You eat a while, and we're. I'll let you get out of here. But this crab cake here
I might have to take it to go.
Well, you got to take a bite,
All right.
and then I can pack it up.
This is a mustard forward.
Oh,
that way, if you eat a bite of it, you make
and
sure I
it's
don't
all
eat it.
Maryland crab
It's all
meat.
Maryland crab meat. We're in season here. That's going to be as good a crab cake you ever had in your life. I'm not touching those deviled eggs, but
Oh, that's awesome.
damn right
Oh,
it is.
that's awesome.
So people would always say to me, "Who has the best crab cake? You do this and then you." I said, "You know what I'm going to do? I can't say this is the best crab cake until I've had all of them. You know what I mean? You can't. So I have to go
Sure.
everywhere. But I will say this: her crab cake. There's no other place that makes it like this.
Yeah.
Nope.
There's no doubt about it.
That's a lot of lump crab meat.
That's a lot of lump crab meat in there. Her mom, it's her mom staring at you here,
Yeah.
right here,
Yeah.
Nancy Devine.
Yeah.
We're down here,
That's
Fadley's.
awesome.
Damien's sending me out. Do you have any oyster recommendations for me in any way? Your friend Janet, you have friends on the Eastern Shore. I'm going to try to see all of them.
Oh, you're going down to Tillman, aren't you?
I am.
Oh, good.
Oh, yeah,
Good.
that's a
All
good
right,
spot.
I'm going to
too.
go to
a great-
Hooper's.
Yep.
I'm going to Tillman. They're down in St. Mary's and Charles County. Well, you don't think of that as oysters, right? Because you think Eastern Shore, Chickatank, whatever.
And all the farms on the Rappahannock. I mean, there's a load of them down there. You really got to go to all the farms, and because the aquaculture program is a huge piece of why our bay is getting better. And
Well, in
improving.
St. Mary's and Charles County, that southern Maryland piece down there, Solomon's, a lot of oysters down
yeah.
that way. I saw my first ever horseshoe crab last week in the wild, right? Like, I don't know why I've never seen one. My wife and I were hoofing at Mako, had a couple knocks in us on Wednesday night, and we're going across the bridge at Fager's Island. You know that little bridge where there's a marshland? And my wife looked down, horseshoe crab about the size of a helmet, a baseball helmet, black, moving along in the marsh. And we looked down, and my wife's video, and she's like, it's a horseshoe crab. And I don't mean feel tenderfoot like people haven't seen a crab or whatever, but I'm watching it, and I looked on top of it, and there were oysters all over the top of it,
Oh, wow.
living
right on
on
his
the
shelf.
horseshoe crab.
Yeah.
On his shelf. Yeah.
And I thought, it's meant that I'm supposed to learn about oysters. So you learned a little bit about oysters.
Yeah, I did.
And I learned about firefighters, and I learned that we don't want to know you, we don't want you to come by, but we're glad you're there.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
I appreciate that, yeah.
All right, Matt, good seeing you.
Thank you so much.
I promised
Okay.
him he'd come by a year ago. He told me he'd be nervous and look nice and smell nice. Next time I'm going to shave up for you, all right? Damie, you're closed 2 weeks from now. Tell everybody don't order crab cakes on Labor Day, but you'll be back after it in
Yep.
time for football season.
Yep, we will be back that following Monday, and we'll be good to go.
You are a real small business. You have to close down because, all of my local businesses, Pizza John's, my dear friend Marcella over at Coco, she shut down 3 weeks ago. You all pick your week
Yep.
because your staff, and you've had the same employees here for years and years and years.
Absolutely.
You let them know. We're closing right after first of the year. We're closing in August.
Right.
These are the
There's two weeks that we shut down completely, and everybody goes on vacation at the same time. So
That's good.
It's
yeah,
nice.
That's nice. Yeah.
enjoy your vacation.
Thank you. I will.
You know what I'm
Thank
doing
you so
right
much.
now? I'm going on vacation. This is my last segment for a couple days. I'll be back next week. Luke's going to be around keeping you company between now and next week. All the politicians from last week, folks like you, have had some great guests coming your way. I am Nestor. We're signing off from Fadley's. Our friends at the Maryland Lottery, our friends at Liberty Pure Solutions, and Jiffy Lube doing it with friends of ours like the Hahn and the Divine family do it down here. Get down here to Fadley's in Lexington Market. It is beautiful. It's a perfect place to stop by before a ball game. Get yourself a crab cake and some shrimp salad. I'm going to go do that right now.